Okay, so hi everyone who's joined us. So my name is Orisha Matusa, and I will be your moderator for today. So welcome to the first of many Glory Network webinars. Sorry guys, I'm reading, so I'm really a bit up. We're really excited to have you guys here with us to deconstruct and explore the relationship between fashion and sexual violence, and I hope you guys are really excited too. Our speakers have a lot of good points that they're going to cover, so I'm really excited for you guys to hear about them. So even though you may not have experienced it yourself, I think it's safe to say that rape culture not only exists, but is very rampant in Nigeria. And as a free the nipple advocate myself, I know that I don't feel as safe not to wear a bra in Lagos as I would in other places. And even if, it's not said explicitly, during my conversations with men and just in my experience with men, I've seen the extent to which they feel, not only do they feel entitled to my body, but they feel entitled to me as a person. And this has then translated into the way I dress. I've started being more protective of my body with my dressing. And then you also have stories of secondary school boys. I'm so sorry, guys. So you also have stories of like secondary school boys who it's a rite of passage for them to actually sexually assault girls, and the girls are aware of this, so they are taught to layer their underwear in order to prevent rape. And in the event that they do get raped, they tend to blame themselves. Okay, maybe they didn't have enough layers of underwear. So the question we're addressing today is, does dressing really have anything to do with all of this? So to start off with, we're going to introduce the Glory Network. So what is the Glory Network? It's a community supporting female identifying talent in the creative industry. So from photographers to illustrators and everything in between. We aspire to empower women by bridging the socioeconomic gap through a platform that connects the world to our diverse thought leaders, four of which we have here today with us. So we decided to hold the webinar in light of the injustice going on in the country concerning violence against women. And we've seen and heard leaders saying that the reason why girls are getting sexually assaulted is because of the things that they're wearing. So we wanted to gather women together, women who are changing the game in fashion and in rape awareness, so they could shed light on this topic and help us change this narrative. So what is the objective for today? We want to teach you guys from what we've learned. We want to divide the concepts of fashion choices from the concept of rape. We want to create more awareness about rape culture and the freedom that fashion can offer. And finally, we want to start creating the change we want to see in the world, right? Because it all starts with us and the mindsets we carry in our day-to-day lives. And ultimately, we want you guys to be confident and unwavering in your fashion choices. So today we have Teni from Clan, we have Vanessa, I'm sure we should hear, from NYOSI, Zara from the Consent, hi Vanessa, from the Consent Workshop, and Tochi from Nolly. So you guys can just introduce yourselves and tell us briefly about what you do, and then we'll just get right into the questions once you're done. So Teni can go first.
Hi everyone, I'm Teni Sagoe, Creative Director of Clan. And what that means essentially is just that I do all the directional work for Clan. So in terms of our campaigns and the designs that we put out, our collections, that is something that is very close to what I do, and very close to my heart as well. So today we'll be discussing what Clan is doing in terms of, reversing all these social patriarchal norms that have eroded women's rights and the female psyche, and how we're just trying to really elevate that and change and reverse those effects of patriarchy.
Okay, thank you so much, Teni. Vanessa?
Hi, I'm Vanessa, the owner of NYOSI, happens to be doing this in the studio. So I work as a banker and I design on the side. And today, which I'm very happy to be part of this panel because I feel like it's very important for us to protect women especially younger women, because I'm 30, experience has taught me a lot. And so as a brand owner, it's very important to push or pass on the information and the lessons that I've learned to younger women, just so that they know that they're protected and they're safe and there's people who care about them in their society. So yeah, I am looking forward to this chat. And that's me. Done.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Zara?
Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Zara. I'm a dentist and I am also the program coordinator for the Consent Workshop. Consent Workshop is essentially a grassroots NGO that deals mainly in consent education. So how we do that is by creating or raising awareness on what consent is and how it applies to daily activities, and also through creating safe spaces to have these interactions to learn more about healthy sexual relationships and so on.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much, Zara. And last but not least, Tochi.
Hi everyone, my name is Tochi. I guess since everyone's giving their 9-to-5s, I work at a political PR firm, but I'm also the co-founder of Nolly Babes. I run Nolly Babes along with my sister Abella. Nolly Babes is an online archive sharing images of Nigerian women as well as men from iconic Nollywood movies. We share these images with a particularly strong narrative of showing strong Nigerian women, strong, beautiful women, in the hopes that seeing these women will inspire other women to go beyond what they believe is expected of them. And I'm really excited to be a part of this discussion, because while I think it's great that these discussions happen, period, I think it's very nice that we have this angle from a lens of fashion and film, because for some people that's a lot easier to digest. So I'm really excited for this conversation. Hi to all the other panelists. I think this is going to be great.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. I'm super excited too. So let's just get right into it. So the first question we have is for Teni and Vanessa. And I'm going to post the questions in the chat just in case you forget what they're talking about, so you can remind yourself. So it's, how are people in the fashion industry in Nigeria speaking out against sexual harassment and assault affecting women behind the scenes? And I just wanted to, I rephrased, because we went over this last time, so I rephrased the questions a bit just for the audience just to make it simpler for them to understand if you guys get confused. And I just wanted to focus on the behind the scenes aspect, because I feel like, yes, it's general knowledge that, you know, sexual assault is a thing in Nigeria, but I feel like a lot of people don't come out and say they've been sexually assaulted or they've experienced, you know, sexual harassment, be it because of shame or fear, that those are reasons why. So I guess, how is the fashion industry advocating for women who can't or don't feel safe enough to advocate for themselves, I guess is the question that we're asking. So Teni and Vanessa. So Teni, you can go first, and then Vanessa can go second.
Sorry?
You can go first, Teni, and then Vanessa can answer.
All right. Firstly, I think we'll start by just addressing why there's a rape culture in the fashion industry. And I think this is mainly attributable to the fact that in fashion industry, you know, liberalism is very much celebrated. There's a lot of pushing of boundaries, and I guess it's kind of difficult to, and also like this concept of coolness. What is cool is also what is very much what we pride ourselves on, and I guess it becomes difficult, you know, in an environment where the use of drugs and alcohol is encouraged and where nudity is commonplace. It becomes very difficult for us to actually identify what is inappropriate. So I think that has been the reason why. It's not that we have not known that these things are happening, it's that it's been a little bit uncomfortable, because we I guess some people feel like if they speak out against this, then it means that they are conservative and boring and prudish. Okay. And there's that whole concern over that. And I know for me at Clan, I felt sometimes like, oh, you know, I want to push boundaries and I'm all for that. But then sometimes I'm like, would it be weird if I spoke out and said that this was a little bit inappropriate? So I'm just casting the lens on myself as well and wondering, why haven't I said anything? And that's the reason. So now that we've established that there's a rape culture in the fashion industry. If you look to our international, like fashion publications and designers, we've had, in the wake of the Weinstein scandal, in 2017, we've had different, like Condé Nast, drop photographers, very highly celebrated photographers like Mario Testino, Terry Richardson, and Bruce Weber, who it's not that they weren't aware. A lot of these publications and fashion designers and agencies were actually aware, but it was just difficult because there's this artist genius tag, which makes it really difficult to hold people accountable, and to just like actually hold them accountable, for exploiting other people's rights. You know, that's something that has been very difficult. And for me, I think, for example, he took the official engagement photos of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, and also he's a favorite of the royals. Like, he also photographed Diana. So it's difficult sometimes because you see, we all have this notion that a rapist is scary, is creepy, but it's most celebrated, some of them are the most celebrated people in the world, and these are prominent men, and that's why the Weinstein effect is so. This was powered by the Me Too movement, and which is where women come together and actively and collectively share their stories of how they've been sexually assaulted. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Of how they've been sexually assaulted, and how that being able to, there's power in numbers basically. So that's kind of allowed people to be able to come out and share their experiences. And now fashion brands and other organizations are actually using their voices to speak up against this. It shouldn't have taken the whole Weinstein scandal for this to happen, but I'm happy that triggered this. And so I think, one thing that has happened in Nigeria that shows that the Weinstein effect is indeed trickling down here is the whole D'banj fiasco, where Shaitan took to Twitter to sharing her experiences after over a year. And, in this case, again, there's that artist genius tag, which is preventing the person, D'banj, the perpetrator, from actually taking responsibility. And then there's also the patriarchal construct and the support that he's getting from the police for arresting an innocent woman and putting her in jail. If we didn't have organizations like Stand to End Rape, she'd probably have been in jail for longer. If we hadn't spoken on social media, us even reacting to what we know. There's many more cases like Uwa's case, Jennifer. There's several cases, and now that we're actually speaking up and we're actually saying there is a rape culture, because you see a lot of these things are actually very much, they're very deeply entrenched in the patriarchal structures in Lagos or in Nigeria. So it's hard. Like, if you think about child marriage and the fact that still exists, that is just showing us how deeply these problems are. So, rape culture, first, if we define what rape culture is, it's a social environment that allows sexual violence to be normalized and to be justified by inequalities of gender and of sexuality. And regardless of what the context is, rape culture is always rooted in patriarchal belief and violent control. And so just to round up really quickly, I think with Clan, what we've tried to do is approach this from a restorative, by taking restorative measures, basically to move the consciousness of women's value and usefulness in society, in relevance, in connection to men, and to shift that to us just deriving our standard basic human rights, which have been encroached on for centuries. These are basic human rights like freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and things like that. We're just claiming that power back. And in the last collection that we did called She the Power Woman, we tried to, again, instill confidence in our women, corporate confidence, and tell them that they're worth so much. Because for me, I feel like one of the lines from the collection notes actually said, we're trying to reawaken the highly powered, dynamic female anima that has been silenced and put to sleep by years of patriarchal constructs that are just, there's no basis for them. And we're asking the whys and the hows, and we're saying no, we're claiming back our power. And if, for me, one thing I love to see is how many women are wearing Clan and doing these beautiful portraits. Like since the Powerman campaign, that has been personally so empowering to me to see. And I really love to see it. So I think, and if you wonder why Clan is so fixated on the evolution of the female suit, this is why. Because we have to claim back our power. We're not going to stop. Right now, we're not being treated as equals. Men, our rights are being encroached upon. And from a fashion point of view, we are just trying to, again, make women feel like they can stand a head taller in this patriarchal environment, because we have it a bit more difficult. So that's what Clan is doing. And we also hope to support a lot more organizations locally and internationally. So locally, to name a few, WARF, Stand to End Rape, and the Mirabel Center. And internationally, the UN Women's Organization, which actually released this new, I think it's an initiative to stop violence against women. And it's an acronym that spells out respect. And the E that actually is to empower women, which is something we hold very dear to us at Clan. So that answers your question. I didn't go on for too long.
Yes, that was very, very insightful. I really loved, I loved getting the mindset behind why people wouldn't have come forward before, especially in the fashion industry. And I feel like in this season, I've been seeing a lot on Instagram about the decline of celebrity culture. And I feel like that also plays into it, because, you know, you may not want to come out and say something because you don't want to break the image of, you know, maybe fashion is like this or celebrities are like this. So maybe, because then people always assume that when they get to that level, life suddenly changes, and you don't want to break that image of, you know, when you're up here, it's all different, you know. So you don't want people to see the realities that actually go on in industries like this. So I think it's very interesting to hear the back end of that as well. And I love the fact that Clan is, you know, really focused on women in the workplace. I mean, working at 9 to 5 in Nigeria is really, like, that environment is really not easy. So I can't imagine people, like women in high positions, like what they have to go through, things like the mental games that they have, mental like things that they have to overcome just to be in that environment and, you know, try to gain respect from their male counterparts. I know that must be very difficult. So yeah, that's really, really cool. So Vanessa, same question.
Okay, so for me, I would say my brand hasn't been around that long. I think it's been about like 2 years. But when I started, I did make sure, or try to make it a point, or make it obvious to people that the brand was for women and was about women, whichever type of women you are. I mean, we did discuss this already. So be it that you're a sexy woman, you're a conservative woman, you're, you know, aggressive, and when I say aggressive, let's just, in fact, for lack of it, let's say go-getting woman. I want to always be the brand that makes women feel safe and makes women sure of the fact that regardless of what you're wearing, I could wear something that's see-through. Fuck it, I could fucking go out naked. It doesn't mean that I should be violated and I should be humiliated. However, that is the narrative that is constantly being pushed, especially here in Nigeria. You have older women in power say things like, if you don't want to get violated, don't go to this place at night, don't wear this, don't dress like that, don't say that. And obviously, I feel like if anyone actually who made these comments took time out to think logically about what they were saying, they would not conclude on this, because you're telling women that if you wear this or that, it's an invitation to be violated by a man who you also claim is the head of the house. How are you the head of the home if you have no fucking control over yourself? Yeah. And you find that here, there's not many people who are willing to protect women or look out for women. So it's actually, like she said, very great that we have people like, you know, Stand and End to Rape. We have the consent workshop. We have Mirabel Center. all here trying to push the narrative that no matter who you are, no matter what you do, you literally are not responsible for the fact that you're violated. Yeah. Another thing that is important for me to, like, I think it was in March, which now seems so long ago, the brand did a 4-week thing. And the whole point of me doing that was because, yeah, I mean, obviously, as a brand, I do want to make profits and I do want to make money. And, you know, I want all the fame and popularity. However, I don't want to do it at the expense of the things that matter to me. So I always try to put forward the message that, you know, no matter what type of woman, we did cover sexuality as women and how women here are not even allowed to have any ownership of themselves. So how do you know what you like? How do you know what you don't like? You go to a guy's house. Okay, for example, now, I have been in this situation. You fancy a guy, you look sexy, whatever, but you're not ready to go all the way. And you want to hang out with him, and that is fine. And you go there, and, you know, the next thing, he's chasing you around the house. You know, he might even lock the door and tell you, oh, come. I would not even, there's no point in us getting into how many women here have been in that kind of situation. Every woman I know has been in that kind of situation. And you start feeling like, okay, is it because I dress like this? Is it because I look like this that obviously now I'm telling the guy that this is what I want? That's what I want women to never be confused about. Even I've always said, I would rather not sell than sell to a bunch of abusers and rape apologists. Here you have, like Teni did say, we see what is happening with Shaitan, we see what is happening with the band. We have seen many narratives. I promise you, 100 women can come out and say, I've been violated by this person. And then one man who is not even attached to the situation can come and say, it's a lie. And I promise you, everybody then says, oh, wow, yesterday was a thing of, oh, the feminist coven, feminist witches who are trying to kill the almighty good men of Nigeria. Who the fuck are these good men? I don't know where these good men are. If you're not protecting women in the society, you're not looking at women at work, you're not protecting women in church, you're not protecting children in kindergarten, why are you here? How is it, if fashion really is the reason for women being violated, what could a 3-month-old baby wear that could attract the eyes of a predator? No one sits to think about these things. So as a brand and as a person, as a woman, it's very important to always push the message that regardless of the choices you make as a woman, regardless of who you are, what it is you look like, what it is you choose to wear, you will always be protected. It is your right to be protected. It is your right. So regardless of, I mean, even if my shirt is see-through, if I go outside and someone tries to chat nonsense to me, I'll give you what you're looking for because it's I bought it with my money. It is my body. I can do whatever the fuck it is I want to do with it. It doesn't give any man or anyone the right to violate me. So it's very, very important to always push these messages to women that it doesn't matter who. Of course, it is a very uphill battle when, like you said, it's a celebrity or someone who is respected. If it's like Kevin Spacey, the guy from, I forget, is that his name, from House of Cards? Or I didn't just hear about Terry Richardson violating women recently. I've heard this, I feel like as early as 2008 when he was shooting a lot for American Apparel. However, that was ignored and he still kept working. I would never want to be a brand or a woman who has ties to people who violate women because of their popularity. So it's just always very important. Sorry to be going on for so long. It's just, I would just say as a brand, I want women to know that, yes, yeah, we're selling clothes. Yeah, we all want to look fucking fly. Or we want to like dress up. But however, it's a brand that pushes the protection and the safety of women at all times, regardless of what the circumstances, regardless of where you have been. Even if you're drunk, even if you've gone out and you've gotten drunk, it doesn't mean that the person that you drank with now has a right to start feeling you. That is just nonsense. So yeah, I think I will just end on that note, that women just need to always know that regardless of the choices or the ways they express themselves and put themselves out there, it is your right to be safe. And as a brand, I will always try my best. If I ever fall short, I hope someone lets me know. But as a brand, I will always try my best to always make women know that they're safe to do whatever the fuck they want while being protected. So I'll just end on that note.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. That was really insightful as well. I just wanted to touch on something you said at the beginning. You almost it's so funny because as you were describing the kinds of women that your clothing appeals to, you almost said the aggressive woman. And it's so crazy because that's something that people, like, once you're outspoken, maybe you're loud, or you're just, you know, that kind of person, then people automatically, or men automatically label you as aggressive. And it's, you know, something that we've even
I get that a lot.
Yeah, that we're even calling our own selves aggressive, and you have to check yourself before, you know, you do it and actually change what you're saying, because words are really powerful, right? And then I feel like it also feeds into the trope of women not uplifting women, because you feel like there isn't a lot of space at the top. So once you get there, you know, you don't want anybody to steal what you worked so hard to get. So you're now aggressive or unkind towards other women. And I feel like that's also something that needs to be addressed. So it starts with women. As much as, you know, we want men to change, I feel like the change can also start with women, because there are a lot of women that feed into the system as well. Okay, so we're moving on to our second question, and this is for Zara and Vanessa as well. So Zara can go first. In a society that is almost entirely run by men, how do we teach young women to decenter men when it comes to their fashion choices? I feel like this is a very key question, because I know a lot of people have dressed up for boys. So,
sadly, the climate that we're in, we've been sensitized, so to speak, to look good for making yourself attractive for a man, or the aim essentially is to get married, you know. So, and it has to be you looking good for a man, and that's sad. So I have a few points, and the first one would be telling women and girls, or rather reminding them, that they have their own autonomy over their own choices, and especially a choice that is particular to their bodies. And that's why I will always support brands like NYOSI and Clan, which they do embody that. Whatever you decide to put on, whoever you decide to give your body to, whoever you decide to share your body with, how you take care of it, it should always only be based on what you've decided is right for you. After all, this life is one, so you might as well do the things that make you happy, you know? Yeah. Secondly, I would say women should always try to adopt like a feel good, look good mentality, or look good, feel good mentality. It's worked for me, and I always preach about it. It's almost like you're doing your daily affirmations to yourself, and then it's translating to how you dress or things like that. And I will always encourage it, because a habit, it only takes 21 days for a habit to form. So if you're doing this constantly, just take a look at yourself in the mirror. Oh, I look good today. Oh, I like my face. I like my shoulders. You know, accentuates that. If you if you like how your face looks, be like, okay, yeah, maybe I'll wear my hair down this way, or put my hair up this way. You know, I like my shoulders, so I'll give them a bit of you know, shoulder moment. Just do things that make you happy, and then essentially translate to how you look. Like Orishama rightly said, complimenting women is always a thing that I find joy in it. Like, apart from like me being selfish about this decision, but I like seeing the reactions they get when they get a compliment. And it, for some reason, it just, which I think it's mostly because it feels a bit more genuine. Women like being complimented by other women.
Yeah.
I'm always, so if you're uplifting a woman, giving her that ego boost, that little thing might just price it perfectly. And I feel like that's a bit more, it's like a step towards getting closer to self-realization, self-actualization, confidence is boosted. So yeah, those three things can help, in my opinion, decenter the women or girls' thoughts to thinking about a man.
Yeah. And I find that last point you made as well about complimenting each other, I find that women don't trust you. There's just a weird distrust sometimes, like, you know, between women, and I feel like breaking that ice as well, in that way can be, that can be a good way to go about breaking the ice. Okay, Vanessa, same question.
So what I always try to tell younger women, and any woman actually around me, is that try as little as possible to center men, put men in the center of any decision you actually make in life, even decisions as little as what to eat for the day, because I find that, I don't want to say men are easy, so no one jumps on Twitter and starts saying Vanessa generalized that men are easy. But however, I don't really think it's that difficult to appeal to men. So if you're someone who likes showing skin, show skin because you want, and don't say you're going to cover yourself up because of some guy that you're talking to who actually is not even if it was your boyfriend. But 9 times out of 10, it's usually the ones who you're in some situationship with who is trying to dictate and make all these laws for you. I have dated or been involved. Dated would be too generous a word. Let's say I've been involved with people who have said to me, oh, why do you dress like this? If you claim you hate men and you don't want men to talk to you, then you should cover up. Or the more interesting one, I could never marry a woman who dresses like you and blah, blah, blah. I've had someone say, oh, then what if we go out and then my friends are looking at your breasts? This is what he was saying. However, still not leaving me alone. So he's making all these great grand rules and telling me how he likes this type of woman and that type of woman. Leave me alone. You will not leave me alone. So of course, who cares what you think? I'm still going to do what I need to do for myself. And then you have situations where there's women who like to be conservative and, you don't like being out there. You like covering up. You don't owe anyone, even if you're going on a night out, even if sometimes it's even as little as a friend. It doesn't even have to be another man saying, oh yeah, just wear this, show this. You don't have to do that if you don't feel like doing that. You really owe, so show yourself if you want to show yourself. Cover up if you want to cover up. But men literally, because their ideas and their ideologies and their opinions sometimes can be very fleeting. It changes so really, if these are the people that you want to follow, you're never going to find yourself. And again, back to, I know, yes, I always say, when I was younger, I am 30, so it's not like I'm like some grand old woman. However, because of life and whatever, I did experience a lot of different men growing up and up until now. And I experienced a lot of people. I even had, I grew up in a time where even women would say to me, or say, oh, Vanessa's such a slut. All she likes to do is show her body. All she wants to do is talk about sex. All she wants to do is wear skirts that are right underneath her bum. And, it was very easy for these people to make these comments. No one ever took time to ask me how I felt about it, if it hurt me or not. No one asked me how it affected my confidence. However, to the glory of God and to the shame of the fucking devil, I'm a very strong-willed person. So there was no point where I felt like, oh, wow, I want these people to be accepting of me. At the end of the day, it's great to remember that everybody came into this world by themselves. And chances are, when you die, you're probably going to go by yourself. So you owe it to yourself to live a life where you're happy, you feel comfortable, you feel like you've expressed yourself in the ways that you want. And in fact, to just box that in, you have lived your truth, regardless of what it may be. You don't have to look a certain type of way to attract a husband. You don't have to look a certain type of way because you want people to think, oh, this is the kind of person. You really don't owe anyone that pandering. So to live a life where you're just constantly trying to appeal to men and, centering them on your decisions, you're really doing yourself the greatest, and I promise you, the greatest injustice as a woman, because you're not living, you're not fulfilling anything, you're just making the opposite sex happy, and really and truly, it's really not worth it. So I think I can end there.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Someone in the chat had a comment, and she said, in all sincerity, or in all sincerity, I think a lot of women already dress for themselves. A lot of the time, feel comfortable, look good and happy. I just feel patriarchy and entitlement make men believe women dress for them. Would you guys agree with that? Would you guys agree that most women actually dress for themselves and men are just out here thinking that we're doing things for them? But I do think there's some women, there's some young girls that do dress for men still. I would say that.
I would say I agree with the comment that person is making. However, I find that it's younger girls, so 20, 21, who are more risky and more sure of themselves. And this is because of the climates and times in which they're all like growing up in. However, you still need to take it to the account that, yes, sometimes women actually may seem strong on the surface, and a woman might have a persona that she's projecting, and you feel like, oh, wow, because I'm doing this for myself, somebody else too is on the same page as me. It's important, like, I'm not saying that every woman is dressing for men, but it's important to have these conversations for the women who still are on the fence or behind the fence and still don't have the courage to come forth and express themselves. And also, yes, a lot of men actually now are centering themselves in discussions and issues that do not concern them. They just, you know, sometimes they want to make everything about them. Oh, she's wearing this skirt. Oh, it's because we're safe and she wants me to talk to her. I promise you, a lot of these women that you've seen out are not thinking about you and do not need your congratulations or your well wishes or your compliments. So it's actually not about you. But like you said, yes, while women are now being bolder and being riskier and being a lot more sure of themselves, I promise you, a lot of women still are not there yet. They're trying to be there and they're trying to project the image that they are there, but people will come to me and say that they're not. So you're right.
And I think, oh, sorry to interrupt, Nessa. I thought you took a long pause there, but I want to say for me, myself, like we're talking about fashion, we have to remember that the way you dress is an art form. I can't dance, I can't sing, I can't paint, I can't draw, but the way that I express myself artistically is by the way I get dressed. So men and attracting men doesn't even come into the equation. And let's be honest, I can walk down the street. A lot of us can walk down the street in sweatpants and a t-shirt and we're still gonna get attention from men. So you really don't even have to lift a finger.
Sorry, Vanessa, what did you say?
That's how even if you wear your fucking face mask now and sunglasses and cover your hair, the man at the supermarket is going, wow, pretty girl, can we have a chat? It's happening. You literally, your whole face is covered and someone can see from underneath your glasses that, wow, this is a beautiful girl. So really, what difference does what I'm wearing?
While it might be true for some people, I just have to say that the way I dress is an expression of my creativity, and attracting men doesn't come into the equation at all.
Yeah. I just wanted to talk on what Vanessa had said previously, just about the fact that at the end of the day, be it fashion or anything else, you really shouldn't be doing things with other people in mind. Not, well, you guys know what I mean when I say that, you know, you should be kind and caring to, you know, people, but, you know, you shouldn't base your life on what other people are gonna think. So I think that's really key. And then Kamara in the comments also said, most definitely, I don't think I've ever dressed for men, but she's had that what will men think mentality. And I feel like, okay, maybe as a generation, we don't have that, you know, but I'm pretty sure our parents or, you know, before our parents, you know, when marriage was a contract and you actually had to have a husband to, you know, live, they had that what would men think mentality. And, you know, they could have, the more you repeat something, the more people start to believe in it as truth. So, you know, there can be girls who have mothers who have that mentality and they're carrying it around as well. And I just also wanted to ask a question. So for us to say that we don't dress for the attention of men, because there are girls who make careers out of, you know, getting attention from men. Do you think we can say that because we are privileged enough to say that, and we're not in a position where we don't see any other options but to go down that route? So do you think, even though some girls don't want to dress for men, they're doing it because maybe they feel like they don't have any other options? And how do you think, I don't know, do you guys have any suggestions on how we could adjust that? Yeah,
I really think that that's something I thought about earlier today, actually. I was like, yeah, I'm saying, oh, I don't dress for men, but what about women that don't have an option? Like, they feel like prostitution, for example, those women are disenfranchised. And, you know, I actually had an argument with a man also, earlier on today about, he was saying something about how women should watch what they dress and how they dress and what they wear, and how they should know that if they're wearing a certain thing, then it could make a man feel a certain way. And I was like, look, not everybody has the, you know, that freedom and that privilege to say, okay, I'm not going to, some people don't even have money to be buying new clothes. So you should be responsible as a man. Know that you should not just violate a woman. A woman is not an object. Okay, she's a living, breathing being. So you need to see a woman and not an object. And I was trying to explain this, and, you know, obviously we didn't completely agree, or we never reached, you know, the points of agreement. But I think it's just very important that we acknowledge that not everyone is as privileged as we are. Not everyone can say no. Not everyone can say, oh, I'm not going to be a prostitute. And, you know, with men as well, I guess it's harder for them to understand, because they haven't had situations where they've been sold as in on such a large scale as female sex slaves. And don't understand these notions. So it's hard for them to really begin to appreciate this. And another thing I was going to say is, sometimes it's not really just about privilege, it's also about education. The patriarchy is empowering men. That's what it was built to do. Now, as a woman earning money, or doesn't have the prospects in life, or feels like she's disenfranchised, what do women do? What are our choices? Some women decide, okay, I'll just marry up. Some women decide, okay, to get his attention, I'll do what it takes. You know, we have all seen that, you know, movie, or that scene in the movie where a girl has her hair tied up, she's a geek, she wears braces, and the guy is not noticing her. And her best friend is like, okay, do you know what? We've tried things your way. Let's try things this way. This way that actually works. So it's like, okay, let down your hair, take off that ugly scrunchie, take off those glasses, put on some contacts, wear red lipstick, and wear this dress. So some girls are having to dress a certain way. It's survival. That's survival to some people. And we can't look down on that. That is some people's reality. So that is my own contribution. I don't think, and that's another thing that I wanted to address. Women should stop, you know, we should stop judging each other, because when we judge each other, the patriarchy wins. This is what they need. They need us to see anything else before we see ourselves. And we just need to stop. We need to start empowering ourselves by, you know, standing up for ourselves and saying, okay, I hear you. I support you. I believe you. And this is something I feel that we just really need to start doing. Because up until a few hours ago, I didn't understand what would push a woman to prostitution. But now I've actually sat down and considered, you know, her economic standing, political status, and things like that. So that's just my that was my contribution. Sorry, Tochi, I think
no, it's okay, because I think the original question was about dressing for men, and I want to emphasize that we should not vilify or make dressing for men bad and not dressing for men good. We have to make that distinction. The bottom line is that no matter how you're dressed, you're not giving anyone consent to your body. So if a woman is dressing for a man, whether be it prostitution or she's looking to attract men for whatever reason, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? So I just want to make it clear that there's no good or bad way for a woman to dress, period.
Again, so I'll just say really quickly, I'm going in the same line as what Tochi said. There's absolutely, for me, with sex work, it's your decision, it's your body. I don't feel like, of course, some people do this because they're disenfranchised. However, there's women who enjoy sex work. So to that, I say, do what, like, again, back to my original point, whatever kind of woman you are, just do what makes you happy. Like she said, there's no good ways to dress. There's no bad way to dress. Like I said, if you're sexy, great. If you're conservative, great. The point is, every time you dress up, you express yourself or whatever, just make sure that you're doing something that is making you happy and making you feel satisfied. So if I'm a prostitute and I'm very happy at night when I get dressed, I put on my fishnets or whatever it is I want to wear, have a little pretty woman moment. If that makes me happy, that is fine. That I'm dressed like that is not wrong, because It's something that's making me happy. However, if I wanted to wear fishnet tights and I go out to town with a dress that's up to my ankle and I'm sad, then that's whack. So again, to point out, there is no good way to dress. There is no bad way to dress. The good way to dress is the way that serves you. The bad way to dress is the way that makes you uncomfortable, doesn't serve you, and makes other people happy above your happiness, whatever that may be.
Okay, cool. And I also wanted to point out, you know, even like in sex work, you know, you shouldn't be subjected to being sexually violated, because at the end of the day, you are rendering a service, and we're not going to go into the store, slap the teller, and steal like the goods or whatever. Like that would be frowned upon. But I feel like when, for whatever reason, a woman decides that she does want to get into that line of work, it's always like, oh, it's because she is a sex worker that she's subjecting herself, you know, to being raped. But frankly, nobody should be raping anyone at the end of the day. Okay, we have a few comments that I want you guys to actually touch upon. So someone is saying that she feels like younger people actually dress more with a what will other people think mentality as opposed to what will men think. But I think that goes back to what you guys have said in terms of you really shouldn't be dressing. You should dress for yourself to make yourself feel good and feel confident. So there's one more comment, but I'm gonna move on to the next question before we cover the next comment, which is Tochi. So she is covering, how is rape culture embedded in Nigerian culture, and how is that reflected through Nollywood?
Okay, well, as most film is, Nollywood is actually a mirror of society. You guys might see the movies, think they're crazy, you know, think that they're unrealistic, but 9 times out of 10, you'll find that situations that are happening in these Nollywood movies are actually reflective of things that are happening within Nigerian society till today. So yeah. I guess there's a movie that, you know, with all the rape stuff happening in Nigeria these days, there's a movie that my sister and I discovered called Last Woman Standing. And in this movie, Jim Ike played, like, okay, the storyline is a little bit far-fetched, but we'll get to the point. Jim Ike plays the son of a rich man. He's got a deal to play with Manchester United. He's in his neighborhood. Everybody loves him, but he's the town rapist. Okay. And he ends up raping Stephanie Linus, Stephanie Okereke, whose mother is a lawyer. And so the whole movie is about her trying to get justice for her being raped. And throughout the movie, we see themes of victim blaming. We see themes of, you know, people trying to cover for the rich, successful boy. We see themes of, you know, somebody just being known for being a rapist, but still being lauded in society. And it draws so many parallels with the situation that's been happening with D'banj and Shaitan. I don't know about you guys, but I saw some narratives popping up about her character, who she is as a person, as if that's supposed to make us feel as though she is then okay, or that it invalidates any of her accusations. So, you know, the one thing I want to say is that the victim blaming in Nigeria is a big part of our rape culture. There's this understanding that a certain kind of woman that dresses a certain kind of way, that is in a certain place at a certain time, is asking for it. And it's endorsed by different levels of society. Even the good guy in the movie, you know, there's always the bad guy and the good guy. You'll be seeing Stephanie and she's literally wearing jeans and a t-shirt, albeit tight jeans and a tight t-shirt, but you know, that's neither here nor there. And he will say, I don't like you walking around wearing this in this neighborhood, like the way you're dressing, as if at any point it would be her fault if she was to be sexually assaulted. Yeah. And then that movie takes rape literally. It's one of the few movies that addresses and tackles rape head on. But in other movies, we see the narrative of the loose girl, the sexually liberated girl that is the villain. You never see a woman in a Nollywood movie that is sexually liberated that is not meeting her demise by the end of the movie. And these are the narratives that contribute to rape culture and misogyny and a patriarchal society, because a woman is damned if she do, damned if she doesn't. If she's the long-suffering wife at home, that's the good woman. The woman that is at home taking everything from her husband, sweating, dealing with everything. He's outside doing rubbish and she's in her house. She's in her house just dealing, and then that's the good woman. But the bad woman is the woman, the Abuja top lady. That's a really good Nollywood movie if you guys are looking for one to watch. It's like Ocean's 8. That's the one with all the women, right? Abuja Top Ladies is like a female, powerful movie. They're all politicians. They're all getting contracts. But of course, in the end, they make their husbands look emasculated and the women meet their demise, because nobody wants to believe that a woman can be successful or powerful without somehow jeopardizing the male ego. So this comes back to centering men in our narratives. This comes back to victim blaming and, you know, seeing sexually liberated and powerful women as villains and against society. And that's how Nollywood, I mean, we love it, my sister and I, because we're able to show you these images of these women. We're able to show you these women in these outfits, in these roles, in these positions, looking beautiful and strong and doing it. But when you really dig deeper, the Nigerian patriarchal society is there at the end of the story. So that's how it's reflected in Nollywood.
Okay, thank you so much. I just wanted to touch on my question. My question has actually escaped me. So when I remember, I'm gonna come back. So we're just gonna go to Teni and Zara. I hope I remember. So our last question actually for Teni and Zara, which is, how can women of the fashion industry help destroy the notion that rape culture is linked to how women dress? I feel like you guys have touched on this a bit, but if you want to expand a bit, then you can. I forgot to post this question. Should I repeat it or?
No, it's fine. So for me, I'm going to start from some very shocking statements that were issued by some of our lawmakers a couple of, I guess, a month and a half ago. I'm aware that in the House of Reps, I think his name is Henry Okon Archibong, actually said that he would like to put the whole weight of law behind convicting rapists and giving them the maximum penalty of death and also life imprisonment. So to my knowledge, I think a man called Usman in Kaduna was actually killed, he got the death penalty on the 3rd of June for raping a 2-year-old girl to death. Now, the other part of his submission or his amendment, where he said that he would like also for women to be addressed. And this was the way he said it. He said, when you're addressing the hawk, you should also address the chicken. Now, I don't know which is which, but a hawk is the predator, right? Yeah. And so the chicken is helpless. You know, so even in what he said, it's very clear that he's even aware that men are sexual predators. So it's it was just shocking to read that and to actually, you know, hear that men are saying these kinds of things. And these men are between their 40s and their 50s. Now, the other man who said something a little bit more shocking was, I think he's a rep of I think his name is Ahmed Jahad Babawo. He's I think he's a rep of the Bono constituency, which interestingly is also the region under where Chibok falls. Now, this man said that women should watch how they dress because men are not wood. Now, I have to stop and ask myself, do women exist in relation, is our value existing in relation to men and the existence of men? No, it is not. And the fact that he even brought that up, I think in the Speaker of the House even said, oh, he must have been trying to lighten up the mood in the chamber. And there was a lot of disapproval. Now that was thrown out. There was a loud, it was rejected loudly in the verbal. But I think what I'm seeing here is that pervasive, those attitudes that are reflected in our media, where you hear things like, oh, boys will be boys. Oh, she was asking for it. Girls say no when they really mean yes. And things like all these roofie jokes that comedians tell, you know, they're really not funny. It's not funny. And the fact that men, you know, these are the things that our lawmakers are saying shows that our media, what we watch and what we consume. And by the way, you don't have to promote rape culture, you don't have to be supporting a rapist actively. You can be tolerating media that destroying or encroaching upon the value of women. So that is something I think we really need to have forums to discuss this. Like, men need to understand what their masculinity means in relation to femininity and begin to respect women. We need to talk to younger boys and tell them that, you know, consent, younger boys and girls, consent is key. Because what these lawmakers were touching upon is the fact they keep trying to push away the focus from consent to an object, what clothes. And women are objects. Like, we are, like when I love this song by India Ree because she talks about how we are not our hair. you know, and it's the same thing. We're not our clothes. So there's never going to be a time when you're going to be able to justify, you know, even if a woman is scantily clad, that's not an invitation to rape. And also to further even just, you know, remove this, put this whole notion to sleep about clothes being connected to rape somehow. Men get raped too. 1 in every 6 men has a sexual assault story from another man. So this is not about, oh, you know, urge to express or fulfill a sexual desire. This is about violence. It's about violence and control against, you know, sexual minorities and also, sexuality, and women. So we need to address rape for what it is. It's not, let's stop hearing about, oh, he couldn't control himself, oh, she was wearing something that was so, like, men are not, you know, men should be held accountable and they should be made responsible. They should be made to take responsibility for their actions. And for me, a man who sees a woman that is scantily clad and thinks that is an automatic invitation to rape, that's not they're not responsible. You should not be having sex. Yeah, I'm going to say that because that's just the truth. You should not. You are not able to see that this is a woman who has you know, value. And so that's why we need to start to place value on the woman, like the worth of the woman, her value, like what is she, her identity. We need to put a lot of focus on that and take away the focus from clothing. And what I would say, you know, we've already discussed about dressing, and I agree with what Tochi and Vanessa have said. There is no correct way or incorrect way to dress. I completely agree with that. I think that I would urge women to dress responsibly. And when I say responsibly, not to take on the patriarchal meaning, but to take on the meaning that you can empower yourself, as Tochi said, you can empower yourself to dress like in a way that makes you feel empowered and uplifted, you know, as Vanessa also said. So for me, I would be encouraging women to understand that you are 100% woman, regardless of what you are wearing. And what you are wearing will not make you any more or less appealing than you already are. So once you know you're liberated by this fact, then wear what you want. Wear what you want and don't let people tell you what to wear, because what men do is they tell you, oh, I like it when you wear that short dress. And then you wear the short dress and then we all know the end of this story. And then they negate that, they use that to blame you. And that's why I'm saying, like, as Vanessa said, if you're a conservative woman, wear conservative things. And if you want to show off some skin, but please don't do this without first knowing that you are highly, highly, highly valuable to society. And that you exist in complete isolation to your usefulness and you appeal to a man. This is something that we all need to internalize very, very deeply. So, you know, another thing that I also, I realized is also in the UK, when the Statistics Office looked into rape, you know, 45% of women said that the men that raped them were their partners and ex-partners. So this is not just about urges, this is a need to control. Do you understand? This is an entitlement to sex. That's what this is. Like another 38% of the women said that they knew those people that raped them were not in their families, but were people they knew. It's like 13% said that they were raped by strangers. So we're seeing here that this is not, you know, that sexual biological urge is worlds apart from this violence and this need to dominate. And we just need to start addressing them as completely separate things. And so let's not tie ourselves and addressing to men. Let's liberate ourselves by acknowledging that we are 100% woman and that nothing you wear is ever going to define you completely. That's what I wanted to say.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much, Teni. I actually wanted to touch on something just when you said that men get raped, because you also hear stories about, you know, policemen, when they arrest like homosexual men, they also take advantage of them, you know, sexually, because they know that they can overpower them and stuff like that. So yeah, it's really not, it doesn't have anything to do with the way we dress. It doesn't really have anything to do with the fact that we're women. It just has to do with the fact that a man sees something that he can take advantage of, and if he can, or some men see something that they can take advantage of, and if they can, they will. Okay, so Zara, your take on how women in the fashion industry can help to destroy the notion that rape culture is linked to how women dress.
Okay, so running a little off of what Teni said about there's this sense of women being objects of or property. I mean, rape culture, that's part of rape culture, is the fact that there's so many things that are that have groomed or have grown in a society that just says, okay, whatever the what's it called, the victim says, hush it down, it's not for hearsay, we don't want to hear it, because religiously it's that, or say she's married, or she belongs to the man, that's part of the rape culture and religion. Or for instance, it happened in her family, or she's what people say about her family, or we're grooming. Yes, you are technically by silencing me. Essentially, rape culture is just silencing the victims and removing all of the repercussions, everything that's supposed to be going towards the assailant, just deviating away, deviating from the main problem. Like now, take for instance Shaitan and Dibanji's case. Shaitan came out and she said she wanted an apology, and then it's a whole mess. And then before you know it, Sagalink is inputting himself, and then it takes away from the whole story about someone was violated, someone's rights, someone's body was violated. And then here we have this old man that's, God knows why people even follow him, saying, oh, he thinks she has a mental illness. Are you a psychologist? Are you a psychiatrist? No. So why are you, who even invited you here? It's ridiculous. And then to say things like, oh, what were you wearing? Of course, people keep on mentioning, okay, cases of child rape. What of India? India has one of the highest incidences for rape, and they are basically covered. Be it Hindus, be it Muslims, they're covered head to toe, they're swaddled, they're wrapped around, and then you still have highest prevalences of rape. So it matters not what you wear. It's really just about, I can take this power away from you. Because I am a man, I have that privilege to force upon myself. It's bloody ridiculous. And I think the only way we can really truly remove, is because of the way she was dressed, is we have to break down the part of the aspect in rape culture that targets what the person wears. Is say, no, you have this and that and that and that. The statistics are all here. Why is my clothing option?
Yeah.
But I think
oh, no, Teni, go.
Yeah, no, just very quickly to add to what she said as well. I think that men should be asked why men get raped. I think that's what we need to ask them. Is it that they show too much bicep? Because it starts to get a bit ridiculous when we have to continue to explain these things. Like, explain to me why men are getting raped if this is not about control and violence and power. So as you said, Zara, like, it's absolutely ridiculous. A woman can wear a straight jacket or the skin pierce thing, and the situation will not change, because the root cause, we're not looking at the cause here. We're looking at, we're being distracted. We're forgetting that even if a woman is naked, it does not mean that a man instantly is invited to her. And even if he feels like attracted to her, a man should know that all relations should be consensual. I can't believe we still have to say this and explain this, So that.
Oh, finish.
No, that's really it.
I feel like it goes back to, at the end of the day, the things that we're talking about are so commonsensical, but why, if you can still keep perpetrating the lies that women are getting raped because of what they're wearing, then you can still keep your power, and I really feel like that's why this narrative is still prevalent today, because it keeps the people who are doing these things in power, or the people who are benefiting from, women not having the autonomy to their bodies and just to themselves in general. It just keeps them at the top and, us at the bottom, still fighting to just dress, So we have reached the end of our webinar. So we're going to take questions now. If anyone has any questions they would like to ask the panelists specifically, or just throw the question out and then anyone can answer, you can just put it in the chat, I guess, and then they'll answer your questions. And then I'm just gonna go through the chat as well and see, or you can raise your hand. Yeah. There was a comment in the chat that I wanted to, okay, so someone asked, since young women are mostly affected with self-confidence issues, when it comes to dressing for themselves, how do we reach out to these young people? Because I think teaching young people to accept their body at a very young age is very important. So maybe, I don't know what age range you guys design for, or maybe how do you feel? And even like through Nolly Babes and the content workshop, how do you guys ensure that you're reaching out to the younger generation?
So I would say, sorry to butt in. I wanted to be sure to make this comment. I think what Nolly Babes is doing is very, very, very important, because it's a page. I don't know if anyone here was at the party that was held in December, where people had to dress up and people had to, get in theme. And it was so interesting to see how much effort was put into it. There were so many sexy looks. I promise you, all the bitches killed it. It was back to back to back of badass bitches. And it's important because when you go on Nolly Babes, you forget that a lot of these films actually end with the patriarchy winning. No one really focuses on that. They've taken away that narrative. And it's now a thing where they push women to show that, yes, these are the films that we've grown up watching, where these women were vilified and made to look evil. However, we've grown up now and we see that these are the sorts of women that we need to be: strong, confident, have self-esteem. Another thing I would say is, it's very important. I promise you, it's hard. It's easier said than done. But it's important, be whatever age. I've had women who are close to 40 tell me, oh, Vanessa, how can I be more confident? And I've had women who are younger. Like, it's just very important to center yourself. Again, I promise you, the moment when you say to someone, love yourself, people sometimes might interpret that to be something else, because it's like, duh, obviously I don't hate myself. I had a friend tell me that once. She said, I was going through like a whole lot. I wasn't sure of myself. My confidence was literally in the fucking gutter. I was involving myself with a lot of the wrong type of men. And she told me the root cause of all these things was that I didn't love myself. If you ask her, her name is Jumo. She's literally she's so important to me. She always tells me the truth, even when I don't want to hear it. I got defensive. I feel like we even had a fight where other people had to like get in and blah, blah, blah. However, ultimately she was right, because the moment I started loving myself and accepting myself, sometimes people who follow me on social media will see my weight or my body change. Today I'm size 12, today I'm size 10. Even when I'm in a phase where people kept saying, oh, Vanessa is fat, Vanessa is fat, Vanessa is fat. And I crashed my weight. I went all the way down to a size 6. And guess what? I started hearing that I'm now doing cocaine in the clubs of London. Not that I lost weight. No one was still happy. Like, you shamed me and pushed me to the point that I have now become the skinniest version of myself. And now, instead of praising me and saying, oh, wow, look at this bitch, she went to the fucking gym. It's no. She's doing cocaine and shaking her ass in the toilets of London. So that's why she's lost weight. So regardless, and because of that, I had to make it a point to always prioritize myself. So even if I'm size 40, even if I don't wear a bra out, I don't care. I don't give a fuck. I'm happy with how I look. I don't care if somebody else is going to look at me because at the end of the day, you're never going to be able to please everybody. You can't. So just always do things that make you happy. I promise you, there is no perfect body. There is none. So even if you have self-esteem issues at size 16, you're going to have the same self-esteem issues at size 6. I am promising you this. and I'm telling you this from experience, even if you have washboard abs today, if you didn't love yourself when you had love handles, it's not going to change. So just always accept and be kind to yourself as women. You don't have to, like, there's no scorecard. No one even gives you a trophy for having a fat ass. Yeah, fuck it, you might earn money, I'm not gonna lie, but you're not going to put it on your CV like, oh, give me this job because I have a fat ass, and people keep saying, oh, when I want. So it doesn't matter how you look, it doesn't matter how you express yourself, whatever it is, just always, please be kinder to yourself, especially as young women, and love yourself. Love yourself, like, always prioritize. Yes, love your friends. I'm not saying be a selfish asshole. That's not what I'm saying. But love yourself and accept yourself and just be easier. And you'll find that life and everything else will just, it won't get, I mean, life isn't a bed of roses, but it becomes easier when you just literally start putting yourself first.
Yeah. I agree.
Sorry, I just want to speak, but I just want to, because I feel like I might forget before I touch on Vanessa's point. Just in terms of loving yourself, I feel like when people say love yourself, sometimes it's actually hard to understand what that means, and obviously we don't really have time to go into like the crux of what it means to actually love yourself. But I feel like it's good to start with silencing the voices, because she touched upon, listening, changing her body because of what people were saying. There are a lot of voices. There are voices in your house, your parents, your siblings, your family, your cousins, your uncle that you don't even know. Everybody thinks they have a say in your life, but really taking that time out and just getting to know yourself, having that time with yourself and really understanding, okay, this is what makes me happy and this is, what makes me unhappy. And then you can go with that. Because when she was speaking, she wasn't even aware. She wasn't self-aware enough to tell herself that she didn't love herself, and that's why she was in this situation. So also surrounding yourself with people who are going to call you out and be like, babe or guy, this thing you're doing, this is why, and you need to stop it. People who aren't afraid to push you, no matter, the pushback that they're going to get. So I think, just giving yourself that space to actually get to know yourself and understand who you are as a person, so you can, you can step into the world and demand, what you deserve, and having good people around you that are going to hold you accountable and help you on that journey to self-discovery. Because you have to be, in order to move forward and actually love yourself, you have to be self-aware, or it's going to be really hard to get to that place. Okay, cool. Tochi.
Yeah, so basically, first of all, Nessa, thank you for re-articulating what I said earlier about Nollywood, and how while Nolly Babes brings you the images of these strong, sexually liberated, successful women, the deeper narrative is more reflective of what's happening in society. But in relation back to the original question, which I believe was, how do we use our platforms and our fashion lines to help women become more confident? I'm not sure if I'm rephrasing.
Like, how do you reach the younger demographic?
Well, I think the issue was that the younger demographic was having an issue with confidence or themselves, self-expression. One thing we like to do in Nolly Babes, and I hope that it comes through, is that we show beauty, specifically beauty of Black women, in all different shapes and sizes. Eukarya Anueyiagu, she is, I guess you would call her plus size. We're talking about fashion industry, but her beauty is undeniable. So I think while it's nice to be able to say, oh, look inside, or look at your voice, or eventually get there, the media and the images that we are bombarded with all the time, particularly in the fashion industry, show us a very linear understanding of what beauty is. But through Nolly Babes and through these movies, we get to see a more diverse and acceptable and relatable idea of what beauty can be, especially for us as Black women. It's especially hard for us as Black women to look at ourselves in the mirror and see beauty, especially when different things are telling us otherwise. So one thing I want to say is that seeing diversity means that no matter what you look, confidence isn't about what you look like. Confidence isn't about the clothes you wear, the designer shoes you have. Confidence has absolutely nothing to do with that. It's all a matter of seeing the beauty within yourself, the unique beauty within yourself, understanding that what you have to offer is something that nobody else on this planet has to offer. And I think in seeing images of people that look like you that might not fit certain standards of beauty, you're able to really internalize it and understand it a lot easier. So that's what we try to do with Nolly Babes. We have dark-skinned women, fair-skinned women, overweight women, leper women, whatever you want. We want people to be able to see their own beauty in the beauty of others, because it's so much easier to see someone else and say, damn, she looks good. And then you don't see the traits within her that you have within yourself, So that's what we try to do with the images we share and the archival footage that we put out there.
I really love that, because I feel like maybe the younger generation doesn't really relate to Nollywood as much as, the older generation does, because, I mean, by the time, I remember when Disney Channel came to Nigeria. So by the time they were growing up, they were already, all they were watching was DSTV and Disney Channel, so those kinds of things. So I think it's good that you're bringing that back so they can actually see what the average Nigerian woman looks like and compare themselves to a normal standard as opposed to, well, Caucasian, which, is not always great.
Hilary Duff, maybe I'm aging myself, but like all those people, Miley Cyrus, like I'm not seeing, yeah.
Exactly. Okay, guys, so we've come to the end of our webinar. I really, really enjoyed this, and all of you have really come with some amazing points, and I'm sure everyone who's listening has gained something from this. So if we don't have any more questions, I've said them so many times, but yeah, if we don't have any more questions, then yes, I would just like to say thank you to all panelists. Thank you to the team that actually put all of this together, the back end team, and thank you to everyone who showed up. So yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you guys. This was fun.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye.